Welcome to the stream. Today we are building AI software bots with the sponsor, ElectroNeek. They're sponsoring this session. Hello and welcome to all you viewers, and welcome Ivan and Diego.
Thank you, Anders.
Welcome.
Welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
So today we are going to do web scraping. I know a lot of people look forward to that, how to do that in ElectroNeek. And let me quickly state that you can download ElectroNeek for free with their community version. You can do all the things that we do today. Simply just download ElectroNeek and replicate what Ivan and Diego will be doing today. Before I say hello to you, Diego, then I will mention that you can ask all the questions you want in the chat here, and Ivan and Diego will answer them. We will sum up the questions in chunks, like every 10 minutes, and then I will answer every one of you, or in fact, Ivan and Diego will. So we also have Bat Nickname with us. Hello, Bat Nickname. He says thank you so much. So he's also looking forward. And Diego, what are we going to see today, and what is ElectroNeek exactly?
Good. So let's first introduce myself. My name is Diego Ferreira. I'm Sales Engineering Manager for ElectroNeek, and I have been working in the automation space for the last 2 years. ElectroNeek is an AI-powered automation platform that is focused on transforming business processes. For today, we want to show 5 of the most impactful automation use cases. We have one for product review analysis. We have another for prospecting with LinkedIn, very interesting one. We'll do also an intelligent ticket processing bot. We'll build it live. We have another onboarding bot, so we can create users for the platform. In this case, we'll work with HubSpot. I also have a bot that will showcase about quote creation using a web platform, which is Pax8. I will explain a little bit more about it once we reach that bot. So basically, that is it. When you are ready, we can start with the first one with Ivan.
I'm not sure which one I look most forward to. There's a lot of cool things here, and I'm sure that I'll learn a lot today myself. Ivan, welcome. And which bot will you start to build today? And maybe I should introduce yourself. You are an ElectroNeek expert. You built on this channel previously. We learned a lot from you, but you're also in the ElectroNeek technical team, right?
Yes, my name is Ivan Ramos. I'm a solutions engineer here with ElectroNeek. And yeah, I've been working in the automation space around 7 years at the moment. And yeah, just as we always do, we're looking forward to showing you these 5 interesting use cases. They will help me introducing them and telling everyone what they're about. And then I will be hands-on with the tool, showing you how they are built and how they run.
Looking forward, Ivan. And yes, as I mentioned, just post all your questions in the chat. Ivan will answer them. I also posted a link to an ElectroNeek beginner's guide if you want to see that afterward. That was from yesterday's session with Ivan and Diego. Without no more talk, over to you, Ivan.
Right. I think they'll help me introducing the first case.
Yeah, exactly. Let me explain that. The first case we mentioned that is about products review analysis. Basically, we'll analyze Amazon website reviews and provide sentiment analysis for products. So in this bot will be using web automation activities, Microsoft Excel, and also Easily AI, our AI solution integrated in our platform. So, okay, that's all. So let's continue, Ivan.
Perfect. Thanks, Diego, for the introduction. And yeah, we'll start with our first case. As Diego mentioned, it's product reviews analysis. So first, let me open up a browser window. So what we'll be looking at here is the following product in Amazon. This is, of course, just a quick example, but what we'll do here will be we apply to any other product. So what our bot will do is it will go into a product here in Amazon, and it will scrape the title of it, and then it will also get the main ratings, the top reviews right here from that product as well. In this case, we have 8 reviews, for this product, and that will be extracted. I'll show you how we will do that, and I'll show you 2 different methods in which we can scrape that. And then using our Easily AI features, we'll show you how that review, each one of those reviews is analyzed for sentiment analysis. So we'll be able to determine if they are positive reviews, negative reviews, or if what is the content, what is the reason why they are negative in the case that they are negative. If they're positive, we're good. with a negative, we want to know exactly what was wrong with it. So we will get all of those insights with Easily AI. So let's get started right
And
away.
even I'm sure you didn't use ElectroNeek reviews because those were all 5 stars, so it wouldn't be an interesting demo, right?
That we
Yeah,
wouldn't be
will
able
be
to show any
boring.
negatives. Okay, so let's jump right into this. So let's open up Studio Pro. And what we'll be doing here is creating projects for the spots. So first, we'll click on this Create Project Bot. Just as a quick introduction, Studio Pro, for those who are not familiar, is our development environment. It's a low-code drag-and-drop based environment that is downloaded on a PC, runs on Windows, and this is where we build the workflows in ElectroNeek. So I will click the Create Project button, and I will just select the path where I want these bots to be created. And I just need to assign a name. For this, I will just use the name Product Reviews Analysis. Perfect. And that will take me directly to the canvas, to the creation interface. So our first step will be to open up that that URL that we just saw. So for that, we will be using the web automation activities. Right here, we have an activity called Open URL. So we just drag that into our canvas and connect it to our start. And then we paste the URL for Amazon right here in the URL property. Next, we'll be capturing the title for this product, which is here, this one right here. In order to do that, we will also use web automation activities, but we'll be using the get element property activity from the UI section. So let's drag this over. Just as a quick explanation, we have get element property and get element value. The main difference is that sometimes what we need from an element is not what is titled, what is called its value inside the properties of that element. In this case, we're actually going to be grabbing a property called inner text. That means the text that's inside the object. So that's why we're using get element property, but later we'll be using the other one. So those two can be used in some cases for different properties that we need. So we now have the pick new element button that we can click to go in and select our title. In this case, this is what we need. So we just put our cursor over it. You can see the red outline. And now you can press Ctrl X to capture it. There we go. Now we can apply a name to this. We can call this, oh, my apologies, I believe it stopped sharing. Just 1 second.
And Evan's desktop disappeared, but we will get him
There
back in here. You are back in,
Yes.
Evan?
I think I accidentally clicked the stop sharing button
No
on
problem.
my other screen. There we go. Okay, so let me move that over to my other monitor. Perfect. So once we capture the element, we can now rename it. So we can call this product title.
And how come
And
you
we
rename this? It's just to not make a mess in your selectors, or what are you doing here when you rename it?
Yes, that's exactly it. That's mostly so we know exactly what this is. So by default, this was called like H1 title, and that's basically telling us, the technical name, so to speak, of this element. But we want to give it a proper name. So now when we save it, and when we go to our elements tab, it has a name that we can, we know what it is basically. So
Makes sense. Thank you.
that's what we're using for. No problem. Now we can select the inner text property for it. So if we go back to the properties of that element, we can see that the text that we want, which is the title, is in that property. So that's why we're using that. And then we can rename the variable where this will be saved to product title. There we go. So the product title will be saved there. Next, we want to actually capture the reviews. For that, in this case, we will be using get element value. And we'll be checking a specific option right here in the properties called several elements. This is one way of scraping multiple elements that we have on the screen. Since the reviews, if we go back there, they actually, technically, they work the same way. They have all the same attributes, but there are multiple of them. So with a very small modification, we'll be able to capture all of them at the same time instead of just one. We'll be doing one approach, and then I'll be discussing another one that we can do, which we won't be doing here. So now all I need to do is pick that new element, in this case, the reviews. There we go. So this will be my element, the whole text of the review. There we go. And as you can see, like, once again, we have a not very friendly name, and we can rename this to reviews. But now it's only capturing the first one. So what we can do, let me actually select back here, and there we go. What we can do here is go into the advanced options, see the properties, and we can find which properties are being used to identify that review. In this case, it's actually the ID, which has a numeric, or a string at the end that identifies that specific review. This is an identifier. So what we can do is we can change the calculation method from is to contains, and we can remove that last part. That means that all the different reviews that have that same ID, even if the end of it is different, will get selected. And we can see here now that we have found 8 elements, which are the 8 reviews. And if we click test, we can see that they are highlighted. So with this, now we click save. It will let us know that we have captured multiple elements and not just one. And we want to confirm that. In some cases, we don't want to confirm that because we need a single element. In this case, we don't want several. So now we click proceed. Perfect. And now with that, we have the reviews all in a single variable, which will be this one. We'll rename it to something more friendly, which is reviews. So we know exactly what's in it. Perfect. Now we have all the reviews that we need, and we can do while loop. That's an activity that we have right here in the general logic section to start looping through those reviews. So for all of our loops, just like in any programming language or in any tool where you build certain logic, this loop consists of a counter. We'll call our counter I. That's a very default name. A condition, basically, what do you want to check to see if you want to repeat that loop? In this case, we want to check if I is less than the amount of reviews. That will be reviews.length. And then the increment at the end will be simply the I variable, and we will add 1 to it. So that means that we will keep adding 1 until we have gone through all the different reviews. Then inside the body of the loop, we have this small comment here, and also at the end of it, we can remove these. These are just placeholders. Perfect. So now we get to tell the bot what does it need to do with each one of these reviews, and that's where Easily AI will come in. We'll add the Ask AI activity, and we'll have a special prompt here that will get the context from this review, and it will generate the result that we expect. So here's our prompt. First, we tell it to act as a marketing specialist, and we are telling it that it's monitoring reviews for the product, and we are providing the product title, and that it's receiving the following review. And we are feeding it the specific review that we are currently looping through. Then the actual objective is that we want to analyze the sentiment of the review, provide an assessment of whether it is positive or negative using only one word. And then if the sentiment is negative, we wanted to add at least a list of the key negative aspects that are mentioned in the review, because we want that information as well. So that will be our prompt that we will ask the AI to perform. We will give it all the information it needs, and we'll get a single word. If it's positive, just positive. And if it's negative, we will get the word negative and also the list of key aspects. Now we will just check the show text output only option right here, so that in this Ask AI content variable, we will only get the response from the AI back and no other technical details. Then once we get that response, we actually want to show that right here in the console, which we can expand here. And for that, we'll add a console log activity right here. And the message itself, we will use the save the previous step result option. That means that it will save, it will show whatever is on the previous step, the Ask AI content variable. Great. And now finally, we actually have an Excel file right here in my desktop called product reviews, where we'll be storing the product title, the text of the review, and the analysis that the AI has generated for us. So what we will be doing inside the bot is we'll be appending a new row to this file for every single review. So in order to do that, we will go over to the Microsoft Office activities, and we have inside the Microsoft Excel group one called append row to Excel file right here. Now we just need to select the file itself. That's in our desktop. And we need to specify what are the values that will be in that row that we wanna write. So we have all of that right here, and it's simply the product title, the current review, and the content generated by the AI. That means the analysis. Perfect. And now that's the last thing that we want to do for each one of those reviews, so we can connect that to the end of our loop. Then that will go back to the beginning, and it will keep going until we have no more reviews. And then once we're done with that, what we want to do is we want to close the browser tab. So we'll actually send in a hotkey right here from the send hotkey activity into the browser, where we'll be sending the Control W hotkey right here. And finally, we'll show a user notification at the end. Here we go. That will simply show a message on the screen that says all reviews process. There we go. So that's our logic. Everything that we want to add here has been added. And with this, we can now actually run a small demo of it. Let's open up a new tab here and have the bot run for us.
And even while the bot runs for us, I want to say hello to a lot of people that said hello in the chat. We have Kendall here. We have Chris. Stine is saying hello. She's actually from upstairs here, so not that far away. Paolo from Brazil, and even from Chile. Nice to see all of you. And yes, if you have any questions or comments to even let him know how good he is, then just type in the chat. And of course also Diego, not to forget. So back to you, Even. I was just wanting to say hello to the people from the chat.
No, that's perfect, because actually the timing was perfect. The bot finished exactly when you were finished with that. So we see that we have a message here saying all reviews were processed, and now we can click OK here. I believe the Control W command was actually sent to the small pop-up that we have for sharing the screen, but that's no problem. We actually got the reviews right here in the file. So if we come here, we will see that we have the product title, the review. Each one of the reviews were added to a new row, and then the analysis. And we can see that for the positive ones, only the word positive is there. But for the negative ones, we get a little bit more information. We get the key negative aspects that were mentioned in the review. And that means, in this case, we have like lagging app controls, interference with Wi-Fi networks, and other examples. So the AI did exactly what we asked, and we have now a full record of everything that it did. And what this means basically now is that we could add an extra step at the end of the bot to maybe send this information to a manager or do something additional with it. But the information has been gathered, and now we could even do this iteratively for multiple products. This was just a quick demo for a single one. And of course, this was just one approach to web scraping. I want to mention that we have another activity called scrape structured data that can do something very similar to this, but that will be better suited when you need to scrape multiple elements, multiple pieces of information for a single review, for example, like the name of the reviewer, maybe the value of the stars that they gave it, the text as well. So the activity is better for those sort of cases. But what we saw is good when you just need to scrape a single element. So those are different approaches to web scraping in ElectroNeek. And with that, we're done with the first demo.
Excellent, Even, and take a sip of water. And I think it's extremely cool. It's I built a similar case in another tool, which took a few more steps and was a little bit more difficult. So I like the intuitivity of the tool, ElectroNeek. And I want to mention that if you joined the stream just now, you can download ElectroNeek for free with their community edition. Get started. You can rewind the video. Don't do it now. Watch at the end of this video, but you can rewind it and you can copy everything what Even did here, and you can even make your own adjustments and learn a lot from those. So extremely cool, Even. I'm looking forward for the next one.
Perfect. Thank you. Diego?
Good. So let me introduce the next one. The next one is about prospecting with LinkedIn. So we are using LinkedIn to look for leads and then gather contact details using another website that is named Get Prospect. So in order to get the contact information, this bot is especially useful for sales organizations. Okay, the previous one was very useful for marketing, for product. This one is more for sales. In this bot, we'll again use web automation activities. We'll do also web scraping, and we'll use Microsoft Excel. But in this case, we'll do a demo. We'll not build it from scratch. So, Ivan, let's show us.
Yep, Perfect. Thank you, Diego. Yes, just like Diego mentioned, some of the bots today, mostly for time limitations and access limitations, we'll be showing a quick demo of it, and I'll also be showing how the bot is actually built. But when we're doing like a live build of it, it would take far too long. But we do have those bots documented here in the bot library. This is our pre-built library of cases where you can see the same demo that we'll see now, and you'll also be able to see the steps, how this bot was built, a video of an engineer building that bot, and even download the bot itself to see how it was built, customize it yourself, and also use it for your own purposes. So that's what we'll be looking at here. So let's take a look at this first case, the LinkedIn prospecting automation case. Let me actually put this in full screen, and we'll start. So I will skip the first 45 seconds because this is just an introduction. Just like Theo said, this is a case that will take a look at LinkedIn and then gather information. We can see here the names, the LinkedIn URLs, the locations of those people, and the emails. The LinkedIn Sales Navigator will not provide all of those, so we will use an additional tool called Get Prospect to get that. But the initial source of data will be LinkedIn. We'll basically apply a couple filters there, and that will give us the information that we want. So the bot will run now, and we'll be able to see, first of all, how the bot opens the LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and it applies the filters. These are put into the bot. We have the company filter and job title filters. Of course, these could be customized. Then we get a list of contacts, and the bot performs a quick web scraping of them using the scrape structured data activity. And then it opens up Get Prospect, and it starts looping through those scraped contacts. And for each of them, they are searched for right here in the in Get Prospect, and there we get the email and the LinkedIn profile URL for each one of these people. And of course, there's some additional information that you can get here, and of course, you could use other sources. But in this case, we're showcasing how we get data from one source and we leverage a second source to get more information. So it's looping through them. It's searching through each one of those contacts that were scraped. In this case, I believe we scraped 2 or 3 different contacts. And for each one of them, we are logging the information in that Excel file that we saw at the beginning. So that is happening right now. And in a couple seconds, we'll see how it finishes. And it will ask us to type in an email address. So this Excel file will be shared via email. And in this case, the bot is asking us to input that. Of course, that could be hard-coded into the bot, or we could do it this way. And then the bot simply sends out that email, shows a notification like this one on screen. And with that, the bot is finished. We can now see in a couple seconds how that email looks. So we can see that the email has been sent. This could be sent to a manager, for example. And there we have the names, the LinkedIn URLs, the locations, and the emails. All of this combined with the different sources. Of course, far more fields could be added at the end. But in this demonstration, those are the values that we have extracted. So those would be the results of this demo. Let me actually jump into a Studio Pro to show you how that demo was built, how that case was built. So let me open up that project.
And I just want to add extremely cool, even. And I also add in a few comments from the chat. DJ Suluk says, so cool, gents. And Robson says that very nice. I was trying to scrape a list of news from a website, but I could not figure out how to get all the news, only the first one. It's a similar process to getting the reviews. Thanks, Ivan. So you have a new fan there, Ivan. I'm sure Robson will try ElectroNeek, which got the free community version, so we can copy everything what you do today. And sorry for interrupting.
No problem. No problem. Thank you for the comments. So here we have the actual bot behind what we just saw. And just to show you a bit behind the curtain, this is how it was built. Just like we saw just now, this is a combination of web automation activities. First, to open the URL, then to apply the filters for the company and the job titles. The rest is just, as you can see, clicks and entering text into fields. Then comes the scrape structured data activity, which is set up to scrape those values, the names and the locations. This is then saved to an Excel file. And then we actually have some logic to loop through that Excel file to do the second part of it, the get prospect part. This could actually be very simply split into 2 bots. One does the LinkedIn part and one does the get prospect part. In this case, we have combined them into a single one. So get prospect is first open right here in the open URL activity. And then we loop through the contacts, and we perform the actual search for each one of them. We enter the company name, and then we enter the names of the prospects as we extracted them from LinkedIn. Then all of that is repeated for every single one. That's why we have a loop right here, and we are adding the information for each one into that Excel file that we saw. Then at the end of the loop, connected to the loop end, is the input dialog activity, which asks for that email address, and then send email, which will use that email address that has been typed in. So it's saving the previous step result, and it will send an email letting them know that the file has been attached with the leads. And then finally, the user notification here, just showing that the process has been completed. So that's how this LinkedIn prospecting bot works. And of course, LinkedIn and GetProspect are just a couple of examples of tools that can be used. The main aspect here is getting familiar with the web automation tools, the scrape structured data activity, the ability to loop through multiple values. And these principles can really be applied to any website and any other source of information.
Very nice. Is it legal to bot LinkedIn? I always thought that it wasn't, or not illegal, but against their terms. So I always shy away from doing so.
Right. I believe that can be checked. I believe they have some policies about the main page, the LinkedIn page, and they actually detect when you're trying to use a bot, and they let you know. But I'm not sure for a Sales Navigator. I'm pretty sure there's no issue there. But of course,
yeah, sorry for interrupt, but yeah, this is one of the important things. We are using a Sales Navigator account, so we have access to that information through that. So you can do it manually, or you can just
great.
We are
Thank
not
you.
doing
Thank you,
massive
Diego.
scrapping.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, this is the same as if you had a user right there doing the same thing over and over again, basically. Perfect. And with that, we have completed the second demo. We can move on to the third one here.
Excellent. Good. So next bot is about creating tickets based on emails from users written in natural language, basically. We name it intelligent ticket processing. The bot will read incoming emails with different requests and will create a ticket for each one by analyzing the content and determining the nature and also the priority. So there is no priority. So we are calculating the priority based on the analysis that we are doing from the email. So in this case, we'll be using Gmail, Easily, and Zendesk for creating the ticket. We are using the Zendesk API in this case. So we already saw a lot of web automation. In this case, we'll do use API.
Right. Perfect. Thank you, Diego. And let's get started with creating that. So let's jump back into Studio Pro. And let's, just as we did before, we'll create a new project for this. We'll call it, just like Diego said, Intelligent Ticket Processing. And also, like Diego said, we'll be using the Zendesk API for this. So it's important that first you have set up a credential inside the credential management settings of Studio Pro, where you have saved your API token for that Zendesk environment. So in my case, I already have that set up. So all I will need to do to start this will be go over to credentials, get password, and I will have my bot go and search for that Zendesk password. I have it right here in the Zendesk sandbox credential. That credential is stored locally on my Windows machine. It's not uploaded anywhere, and it's securely used directly by the bot. So the way that the Zendesk API requires this credential is that we'll need to add it as an authorization header. So we will first need to save this credential to a variable. So in order to do that, we'll create a variable right here called token, and we'll save the previous step result right there in that variable. So that will save that token. Next, we will now be able to loop through emails, and each one of those emails will contain a support request. And for each one of those requests, we will create a ticket, with the understanding of what it is that has happened there. And AI will determine that via Easily AI, via the Ask AI activity. So after reading the token, we will now go over to the email section and use the for each email activity. This is also a loop activity, just like as we saw with the for each row. But this time, instead of looping through the records on an Excel table, we're looping through all the emails in an inbox that fulfill certain conditions. In this case, we'll loop through my email account. So I'm setting up my credentials. These are already saved into my vault. And the conditions here will be that we only read unread emails, and also only the ones that have a subject that says a support request. Of course, these can be very easily customized. We can use a sender filter, body contains filter, so basically specific words that appear in the body, filter by date, filter by specific categories, and many more. So in this case, we're just filtering by the unread ones and the ones that have this subject. And then we're marking them as read so that next time that we run the bot, they're not processed again. Now, inside this loop, this is where we'll start setting up the steps that we want to reproduce for every single one of those tickets or for those emails. First, we want to actually save the results of that email that has been that has triggered this loop to start into a variable. So we'll set up a new variable called email content, and we'll use the save previous step result option. That basically will save the current email that we'll be processing. And then in the next iteration, it will save the next email and so on. So all the details, the subject, the body, and everything else will be in here in this variable. Perfect. And now that we have all the information about the email in that variable, we can now go into the Ask AI activity from the Easily AI section. And here's where we can provide all the information about the ticket to the AI and have it process it in such a way that we can then use that information to open up the ticket. So let me actually show you how that prompt will look this time. Here we go. So our prompt says, act as a support agent. You're reviewing emails and opening new tickets in Zendesk with the content of those emails. You receive an email from, and here comes the address that comes from that particular email. With the subject, we're also providing the subject in this case, although that's, in this case, not very relevant information, but this is an example of how we can provide multiple pieces of information to the prompt. And then the following body. And here we have the body of that email in the text plain property of the email content variable. And then the actual instruction. Based on this information, determine the nature of the problem and return the contents of the ticket. The subject, which we want it to be a title describing the issue. The body, which is a short paragraph explaining what the issue is and the expected solution. And then the priority, which could be urgent, high, normal, or low. And we are actually telling the AI, how do you want to receive this specifically? We want to be very specific, and I'll show you why. In this case, we're telling it that we want it in valid JSON format, and we're even providing an example of how we want that JSON to look. And the reason why we're doing this is that we will want to grab that response from the AI and actually parse it into a JSON object. We want it to be accessible as if it was any other variable. So this makes it far easier to process than just working with text. So with that and checking the show text output only variable, so we have everything that we need in that, only the response in that Ask AI content variable, we can now add that variable that we mentioned, where we'll be converting that text, that string, into a JSON object, and we'll call this ticket details. And the way that we will do this is we'll use a simple command that's called json.parse, and inside that we will provide the Ask AI content. So this is the way in which we can grab the text that is returned by the AI and convert it into JSON. But this will only work if this is provided as a valid JSON. So it's very important that we tell the AI that that's what we need, and the AI will understand it.
And even, can I interrupt you here?
Yes, of course.
So when I use a similar function in other tools, I often get like a text from the AI saying, here's the answer to your request, and a lot of text. So, and then the JSON probably. So do we never get that here with Easily AI?
So that depends on the prompt. Actually, sometimes what we have had success with is specifying return only this, basically return only the JSON or return only the answer. And in those cases, you make sure that it's not providing any additional information. The temperature is also a key aspect here. If you make the temperature higher, it will be more creative or take more risks and be more random. And in that case, it is likely to include extra information. If you keep that temperature lower, you avoid that. But it's always good to try it a couple of times. And if you notice that the AI is sometimes giving incorrect text or more than you need, specify that in the prompt. You can say return it in the body JSON, and if you even reiterate, say return only the JSON, or something like that.
And more important, you can see that we are saying give me the JSON, but in this format. So we are giving an example. So we are forcing them to use it. So there is no option.
Thank you. Thanks for an excellent answer.
Perfect, no problem. And actually, we something that we want to comment here that's important is there's if you're not familiar with how to write this code, if you don't know, if you wouldn't know how to do this, you say, hey, I know that I need to take this text and turn it into something else. I don't know how. That's where the Isle AI Code Assistant feature comes in. So what you can do here is just very simply describe what it is that you need and say, okay, I want to save the results to the variable called ticket details. The input will come from the Ask AI content, and this will be a JSON formatted string or text, no problem. And then my instruction is simply convert this text into a JSON object. And then, even if I don't know how to do that, I can ask the AI, and we'll see that it will basically generate the exact same code that I just did. But I don't need to know that this works. I can just click here. That will be pasted over to the activity, and now I can run it, and the AI did the thinking for me. I don't need to know programming to know that this is how we do this, or know JavaScript specifically to perform this. The AI can do it for us. Great. So now we have the ticket details basically in that variable. That means that we will have, as we ask the AI, we asked it for the subject, the body, and the priority. So that will be in here in the ticket details. Now it's time to perform that HTTP request. So we can go over to Programming, API, HTTP request. And here's where we can perform any API calls from within our bot. Here, in order to, of course, the way to perform the actual API call to each application is determined by themselves, and you can review the Zendesk documentation for this. In our case, we know that we just need the following URL. This is our environment URL with the following endpoint at the end. The method for this call will be post. Then the authorization header, we will keep it empty in this case because we'll actually provide the authorization right here within the additional headers. So the additional headers need to look like this. This is simply how Zendesk handles that for themselves. In other cases, you may use a username and password or a bearer token right here. In this case, we need to use this other method. It doesn't accept the bearer token as is. It needs to be set up exactly like this. Then query parameters, this will be empty. We don't have any specific query parameters. But the body parameters, this is will be what will specify the content of that ticket. So this is how we will set that up. The structure, of course, this is determined by Zendesk, and we will have a tickets object, and inside that, the subject. The variable will come from ticket details. That's where we will get the subject. And inside that, the body is formatted as a comment. Here we see it. We're using the body variable of inside ticket details. And then the priority, which we made sure in the prompt to only accept answers that Zendesk accepts. So Zendesk only accepts urgent, high, normal, and low. So we make sure that that's the case. We specified that in the prompt. And now we'll make sure that when we set the priority here, it will be correct. It will be an accepted value. Great. So then that HTTP request will be performed, and the response to that, basically if everything went correct or if anything failed, will be saved to the HTTP response variable right here. And what we can do with that is we can add a console log activity that will actually grab the ID of that ticket, which will be numerical, and we can show it on the console. We can use the following text that says created ticket at URL, and we can use the standard URL for all of our tickets in our environment, and then the ID, which will be at the end of it. And that will be grabbed from the HTTP response. Then we can just change the type here, or we can keep it as info. In this case, I want to change it to success because that means that everything went correctly. And I can now connect that activity to the end of my loop. And that will repeat it, of course, for every single one of those emails. Finally, at the end of it, all I want to do is just add one more activity, a user notification, letting the user know that all emails have been processed. Perfect. So that is our bot. And now let's actually take a look at a couple of emails that will be used to process, that will be processed with this bot. So first, we can see that we have a request that is simply asking for Active Directory password to be reset, but it is specifying that it is urgent, and that's very important. Then we have another request where this is simply somebody letting us know that a website, the homepage of the website is slow. So it's asking them to reviews. So there's not really that much of a high priority there. And finally, we have a notification that a new employee has joined the company, and we need to provide certain accesses to them. And the key here, the key of what I want to highlight here is that these are all natural language requests. This is all unstructured text that the AI will turn into structured data for us, and then the bot will create the tickets based on that processing. So let me actually now set those emails to unread, so the bot will pick them up. And let me actually execute the bot now. And now we'll be able to see both the content in the console, and also I will show you the emails that will come in when the tickets are created. This is all running in the background, so there won't be much to see and to look at, but we can see right there at the bottom right that the bot is working. There it goes. It just finished processing all the emails. And if I now go in there, okay, first we see in the console that we have the URLs for the tickets right here. And if I now open up my email, I can now see that the 3 tickets have been created. First one for the Active Directory password reset. Here we have a small description of what happened. The subject was also generated by AI. And notice that it says, please prioritize this ticket and provide instructions on how to reset. And also the priority has been set to urgent because that was specified in the ticket. Then we have another one for slowness in the homepage, and here we have a description of it as well. Since we didn't specify any priority, the bot assumed the priority to be, in this case, high, but that would vary depending on the context that you give it. And finally, the access request for a new employee right here. Here we have the description, and finally the priority, which in this case has been set to normal by the bot. So with a simple run of a bot, we took every single email that fulfilled certain conditions in an email inbox, and each one of those triggered the creation of a ticket in Zendesk, but of course, not before an AI took that natural language and extracted what it needed from it. And this could be used to later trigger other actions, trigger other bots, because the key aspect of reading natural language and extracting structured information from that solves a huge amount of problems, and really it opens up the door for a lot of other automation use cases.
Nice one, even.
Perfect. And that would be the third demo.
Excellent. Not sure, Andres, if there are some questions we can answer.
We don't have any questions in the chat currently, okay, but I'm sure they will show up. So yeah, people watching, you are more than welcome to ask questions or asking even to elaborate on something that he said. So yeah, we're looking very much forward for the next one.
Perfect, good. So the next bot could be a continuation of this one. Basically, it's an onboarding bot. The bot will create new users into the CRM platform HubSpot based on a request coming from an email. We can have it the email, or we can do a next step in the bot that Ivan showed us before. So we create a ticket, and we can also call this one that we'll showcase right now to do the task. So to create the user. In this case, as I said, we are using the CRM platform HubSpot. So in this case, we also use Gmail, and we also use web automation activities. Ivan, all yours.
Perfect. Let's jump right in. So this one is also a case that is hosted right here in our bot library that you have the ability to see the demo that we'll see and download the bot for yourselves to take a look at how it's built, customize it, and use it for yourselves. So let's take a look at that demo. Let's open it up, make sure that it's in full quality and full screen it. I'll also, just like before, skip the first couple seconds because these are just introduction. This basically explains what Diego just went through. And what we'll see now is how the bot starts. Let's give it a couple seconds to finish loading. It got a bit stuck. Let me actually refresh that. There we go. And there we go. Okay, so skipping the first couple seconds right here. Let's go over to the next part of it. So the bot will, as we mentioned, read an email that will have all the information from that for that onboarding request, and then it will perform the tasks in HubSpot based on that. So let's give it a couple seconds. I might need to. No, there we go. Perfect. Okay, so that there we see the email with all the information from HubSpot. We see that to put into HubSpot, we see the names of the people that have their accounts being created right now, then the emails, and then the access to the different modules. So here we have, for all of these people, we have marketing access, sales access, service access, report access, all of those set to no, and then account access set to yes. That of course depends on the different modules of HubSpot that you have that you're using and which modules those users that you're creating need access to. So the bot will read all of that, and then it will process the information for each one, depending on what was put into this email. So let's take a look at how it runs. This will also use the web automation activities to interact with HubSpot, in this case, via user interface. So we'll take a look at that. First, it reads the emails in the background. And then as soon as it's got all the information that it needs, it will open up HubSpot on the browser. First, it will log in. And then after logging in, it will navigate to the user creation screen. There we go. And now it will start creating them iteratively. So it will first type in the user for the first one. Then after that, very, very quickly, it will toggle the options. If you couldn't see it, that was because it was very, very fast. It went through all the different options for creating the user and toggled the yes or no, depending on the accesses that were set for this user in that email. So the rest of the process will be the repetition of that. If we go through the different, we will see now it's now going through the second user, and the next couple of users will be created as well. And we can now jump quickly to the last one of them, so we don't. There we go. So we don't take 4 minutes seeing the bot do the same thing.
And don't forget to subscribe to this gentleman's YouTube channel that we are seeing now here on the screen.
Yes, of course. This is the ElectroNeek Global YouTube channel. So
yeah, I know.
Take a look. Yeah. I made sure not to wear the same shirt. Sometimes it happens, we have the demo and we're doing the same shirt that we have in the videos.
I know all about it. I think I wore this shirt yesterday.
Yeah, it's very common. It's like, oh, it's the same shirt you used in that video. Okay, so the bot finished just now, and this is the email that is sent to each one of those users. Of course, these are just demo users, so they're fake. So that's why we get it bounced. But basically, this is showing that the bot will send notifications to each one of those people, letting them know that their HubSpot account has been created. And not only that, it also send out an email to a manager, basically, letting them know that all the different users that were requested were set up. And you can see a column there at the end that says process, and that's the status, basically. And all of them are set to done. That means basically that they were all processed correctly. And that would be the reporting for this bot. The bot would self-report itself, letting you know that it did everything correctly. So that is how it runs. Now let's take a look at how it was built. So let's open up Studio Pro again. And let me go back to opening up that use case. So we have that right here. There we go. Let's take a look at how it was created. So first of all, the bot read the email, right? And the way that it filtered it is it had to have the words new employee on the subject, and also it had to be unread. So that's the filter that we set up. Then we have a small if condition, which checks if the amount of emails is larger than 0. That means, was there an email that had this condition, yes or no? If no, then we simply show a message saying no email found. And you can see that that's the end of the bot because there's nothing else connected to the button. But if there was at least one email like that, then we go through that email, we take that email, and we save its body right here to this variable. And then there's a lot here of using the extract text activity to extract the specific text that we need. First, the names, then the email addresses, then the marketing access, the sales access, the service access, the reports access, and the account access. So all of that is taken from the text of the email. In this case, using the extract text activity. In some cases, you can replace that. If it's natural language, you can replace that with an AI call that will return that to you like we saw before. But if you have a specific format in the email, you can use this because you know how that information will be sent out to you. So that's when you're communicating with more structured text, this is a good approach as well. Then we're checking if the Excel file for the report at the end already exists. If it does, we just go straight ahead. If it doesn't exist, we create it right here. And then comes the actual interaction with HubSpot. So we open the URL right here. Then we perform the login using the credentials right here, just like we saw before. Then the rest of the steps are just navigating to get to the user creation screen, and then a loop for each one of the users. So for each one of the users that were listed on the email, we're first adding their information to the Excel file with the status pending at the beginning. Then we perform the steps to create them, type in their account right here, then checking each axis. If it's yes, we don't need to toggle it. If it's no, we need to toggle it, basically, because by default, they have access to everything. And it continues like that until the end with each module. And at the end, if everything went right, we will update the status to done. Then we will send out an email to that person, letting them know that their HubSpot account has been created. And we take the name and the email account from that original email. So we split that up and we put it into this emails list and the names list right here as well. And that will be the end of that loop. So at the end of that loop, it will repeat. It will continue for every single user. In this case, we had 10. And at the end of all of those 10, we'll send the final email to a manager, basically, letting them know that the process has been completed, and we'll be attaching the list of employees with their statuses at the end. So as you can see, combination of email activity, a lot of text processing to extract the context of that text, of that email, then the email web automation activities, to interact with HubSpot, and then a bit more of Excel and email just for the reporting side of it. So all of that has been included into this one bot. And that will be the end of the fourth demo.
And while you take a short break, then Eric says hello from Portugal. And then Steve, he says that I think he thinks this looks cool. He owns a commercial construction company and looking to automate these processes. Can you recommend a way to find RPA developers to build this automation? So where do we find ElectroNeek developers?
Right. I have no idea if you want to take that.
Yeah. There are different ways of doing that. You can contact us. Of course, we have a lot of partners that work with us and can work with you and create the bots that you need. You can become a customer also. There is also plenty of developers that are advertising over different platforms that you can find them. So whichever the options that you want, you can go to electroneek.com and contact us, and we can help you working with that.
Great. Thank you for answering, Diego, and back to you, Ivan.
Right.
And Steve, yes. Let us know if that was answer enough here in the chat, please. And back to you, Ivan.
Yeah, I will ask Diego to help me introduce this last case, and then we'll show the demo.
Perfect. So our last case, last bot that will showcase is about creating quotes in Packside platform. So the Packside platform, for the ones that don't know it, is a cloud marketplace where companies can purchase software licenses and services from it. So basically, we are creating a quote based on a request that we receive through email, and the details are in a spreadsheet. So we'll take that document, that spreadsheet, extract information, and go to Packsite and create the quote. So this can be applied for a number of different solutions. In this case, we are using Packsite, but obviously the fact here is that we are able to create quotes upon a customer requests. Okay. So Ivan, let's do it.
Let's take a look at the demo then. So this is also hosted in our bot library as well, and we can also watch this demo, see how it was built, and then also download the bot for yourselves. So let's take a look at the demo here. I'll also skip the first minutes because that's just an introduction, basically just what Diego said. This is the input email that the bot will process. As you can see, it has all the information needed for a quote in terms of general information of the quote. But then the key aspect here is the information about the products and the different plans that will be included in that quote is in the attachment, in the Excel file that has been attached to it. So this is basically a format that we created to make sure that all the information that is needed for that quote to be created has been stored somewhere and orderly manner. And the bot will then read that information and will know exactly how to create that quote. So let's take a look at how it runs. First of all, of course, it will read that email and the attachment to that email, the Excel file that we just saw. Then right after that, it will open up Pax8. So we're looking at that. Then inside Pax8, it will navigate to the Create Quote screen. There we go. And now it will start adding the information required. Like it will also include the attachment to basically add more context to it, to provide more information. And it will fill in the information like the message, the terms and conditions, and so on. And now it will actually go through the different sheets of that Excel file to add the different plans. So first, a standard plan, and inside that plan, we see that it added a couple of products. And now for the next plan, it will add additional products. So first, it will finish the standard plan, which was one of the sheets of the Excel file, and then the next plan. This is just, of course, the ways in which you can customize a quote in Pax8. You can have a single plan. You can have just a list of products. In this case, we prepared it to create multiple options, multiple plans. So it's adding those. And for each product, it's specifying if it's monthly or yearly, the amount for each product. You can see that it's searching for it via an SKU code. In some cases, a sub-product needs to be added as well. So all of that is handled by the bot as well. A second plan is added now called Advanced Plan. And the bot is simply performing the same interactions that a human would with the system to do that same thing. So there it goes. It's adding the same products, but with different properties in this case, more of them in most cases, or maybe different sub-products as well. And then as soon as it's done adding the products, it will be ready to share that quote. And we'll also see how it does it. So it's just getting finished with the adding of the products.
And while
yes.
it does that, Steve says that he will contact ElectroNeek. So awesome, Steve, and thanks for Diego for that help. And then we also have some questions from Chris. Chris, wait 2 minutes, then Ivan will answer them, or Diego.
Yes,
I will take them.
Okay, now it finished adding the products, so it's setting everything up for sharing. Basically, in Paxa, you need to add in the contact that you will be sharing this to. And then finally, there's a share button where you can determine how you want to share this. And in this case, we will create a sharing link for that quote, and we will send an email with that link. So that's what the bot is doing. It copied that link to the clipboard, then it reads the clipboard. The bot also has the ability to read the clipboard, and it sent the email with that link. And now here at the end, we can actually see how that email looks. So the email is not really that important, actually. It's just a link, but the whole quote is hosted within that link. So if we click on it, we will see that the full quote is right here. And there, all the details are there. It also includes an option to check out and also to export it to other formats. So, all of that, of course, is handled by Pax8, but the actual content of it was put into it by the bot. So that would be the final demo. And now, after a couple of questions, we can show how it was created. And with that, we'll be finishing.
Great. One question from Chris R. Chris, hello, Chris, again. Chris says, hi, the IT department of my company is pushing back on the use of RPA systems. One of their main concerns is security and data protection. How would you address these concerns with using your system, ElectroNeek? So, Diego, will you want to answer this?
Yes, I handle this question. Well, basically, with our architecture, you can see that the bot that Ivan is showcasing runs locally on the computer that has the bot runner, the component of bot runner. So that means that everything that we are touching information resides in the customer environment. We are not sending information from customer to outside or to the orchestrator or to another platform. So we run there. The other important things to mention is that when we use credentials are also stored locally. So we don't have to store your credentials in Orchestrator in order to run a bot. And the credentials feature that we have is tied to Windows credentials. So it is stay locally. Obviously, if you have another developer or external company development for you, they will use the sandbox environment with the test user. When you deploy that in your company, you will have to set up the credentials on the machine that has the bot runner. Okay, so that's very important to note because data stay in your environment and not out. Okay. Obviously, there are some other considerations to note if you are using other kind of integrations with services that are online. But if you are not doing that, you are very well protected because your information is not going out from your environment. And we have also more information about security in ElectroNeek-security. You can check more information about security of ElectroNeek in that webpage.
Great, thanks for answering. And back to the bot building, Ivan and Chris. Please let us know if that answer was sufficient.
Perfect. Thank you, Diego. And yeah, we'll just take a look at how this bot has been built, the bot for Pax8. So first, we can see that the email is read, and the key information from that email is extracted, including the company name, the first name, everything that we need from that email is extracted right here using the extract text activity. Then the attachment is read using the read Excel file activity right here. Then comes the web automation, the interaction with Pax8, and all of that is happening starting from this activity right here. And then it's just a matter of, the first steps are actually standard for every single quote. But then depending on the products, on the different amounts of sheets and the different products in the sheets, that's where we do a loop for each one of those. And for each one of those plans, we also have multiple products. So we have a loop for the plans and then a loop for the products inside that. So a loop within a loop. And then all of the logic here is to determine if that plan, if that product has any sub-products, if the period is monthly or annual, and other things as well. And then when all of that is done, when all of the products have been added, we simply click the create quote button and we navigate the last part of it where we share that link. We copy that link at the end with the share link button. We copy that to the clipboard. We grab it from the clipboard, save it to a variable, and then we send an email with that information. So in the body of the email, we can see that it says hello, first name, and sending you the link to the quote you created. And there we have the clipboard content, which is the link that was copied from Pax8. And then finally, a message letting us know that the bot has finished. So here we saw a combination of a read email, similar to the previous one. This is email, text activities to extract the text from the email, Excel then to work with the information in the attachment, and then web automation to perform the tasks within Pax8. And web automation, as you can see, it's just a matter of clicking, inputting text into fields, and applying basic logic like if conditions and loops to determine what it is that we need to do with those different elements, and replicating the actions that a human user would take on those elements. And that would be the end of that final demo.
Good.
All-
I just want to mention, Anders, just to close this one, why we create this bot with this logic and we don't use API. This platform that we are working with Backside has a lot of APIs available to do a lot of things, but there was none for code creation. So this is where RPA enters and plays with the GUI to create the code. So this is very important to mention, because you say, okay, maybe that's simpler if we use an API call to the platform, but in this case, it was not for this specific use case. So that is one to highlight.
Great. Thanks a lot, Diego. And also, thanks a lot, Even, for building all this for us. Thanks to all you viewers who stayed here. And this video will be available on this exact URL, so you can even come back to it when you want to build these ElectroNeek bots from Even yourself. Just rewind the video and pause. It's designed for that. So with that said, thanks and goodbye, Even, Diego, and you viewers. We'll be back tomorrow, same time.
Right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.